You're listening to the One Foot at a Time podcast presented by Drill Right Chemical. This week's guest, Robert Meyer, president of the HDDA. And now here's your host, the Mudman from East Texas, Dennis Whitehurst.
Guys, thank y'all for joining us today. I'm Dennis Whitehurst with Drill Right, and we're on the One Foot at a Time podcast. We have a special guest speaker today, Robert Meyer. He's a CEO and founder of Hardrock, and he's also recently in January became the president of HDDA. What we're trying to do here, we're going to hear about Robert's phenomenal story of how he even got into this industry and where he didn't just land where he's at today, how he got here. And also, we're going to find out more about this HDDA because it's a very important group to be in, and he's going to give us a little insight to it. And with that being said, Robert, tell us where you started. What got you interested in this?
Well, I'm not going to start showing my age here, but in 90, I started as a laborer, actually at $4.75. You know,
making big bucks.
Making big bucks back in the day, and I figured out real quick I wasn't going to get anywhere, so I started working my way up and learn how to run equipment, you know, motor graders and scrapers and loaders and things like that. And that was during the 80s, and then 92 I went to work for a company called Vermeer, and I didn't know anything about Vermeer. And one of the things that was happening is the boring machines from the Ditch Witch and Vermeer were in competition. They started developing directional boring machines, and these were trailer mount rigs with umbilical cords, 300-gallon mixing tanks with an impeller that went down. And
I remember them
9-gallon minute pumps. I mean, we had grounding mats. And I was like, why would anybody? I mean, to set this thing up, we knew nothing about HDD. We had to get out there to demo, and they said, "You're going to locate." I said, "Well, I can't locate. I got to run the rig." They go, "Well, I can't locate either." So we were all trying to figure it out.
Right.
But through the process of that, I took a liking to it and learned how to put in a lot of HDDs. Back in the earlier days, I became kind of a not only selling equipment for Vermeer, but I was, kind of an expert in that field.
Right.
And learned a lot. I taught a lot of people how to drill. I learned, back in the day with the Mark IIIs and learned all that. And then 2000, I was the number one salesman in the world.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And a lot of people don't know that. So I went from this $4.75, had an opportunity to learn how to sell equipment and be a part of an industry that was growing through the fiber boom. And then 2003, I left Vermeer and started Hardrock.
What made you want to do? Yeah, because I know it's a big step when you do that, and it's not an easy one to pull off. But what made you just say, "Hell with it, I'm doing it"?
Well, at that time, my wife,
because you had a good job.
I did. I had a great job, and I moved out of sales and I became a sales manager. So I was kind of lost. I felt that
Getting bored.
That I was getting a little bit bored. I couldn't control my destiny outside of just teaching guys, how to sell. And I did something that, honestly, I mean, the drilling rigs, it's not an easy living. I mean, to get out there. No. But, so in 2003, talking to my wife, Angel, we decided to start Hardrock, and we had, I think, $12,000 in a pocket full of credit cards. And we leased a D80 Vermeer, and got some rent in it, and I think $20,000. We did our first project was 2 4-inch galvanized screw together. We had this project across Fort Sam. We put that in cobble, horrible conditions, but we got the project done and we were off and running. And so then from there, I traveled around the country. Drilling, I spent a lot of time in Virginia, Atlanta, down there in South Texas. Started growing Hardrock to where it is today. But I saw the Eagleford boom happen up in South Texas. We started growing at Hardrock, and today, I mean, we're 43 working crews. Some of those are tunneling. We're in the tunneling business, auger business, and we have, I think, 35 drilling rigs, all the way from million-pound rigs.
Oh yeah, you guys are freaking huge now.
So had a lot of great employees. I got off the rig in 2012, and once I did that, it gave me opportunity to go out there and start networking and shaking hands and things like that. So we've got a great team at Hardrock, and proud of what our guys have built.
Tell me about your first. You started with $12,000 and some credit cards.
Yeah, it was pretty painful. I mean, anybody
that first payment, what did that feel like?
All I had to do is come up with a $20,000 payment. So, and actually, who I was working for was Mike Vincent back in the day, and on this project, and he made sure that he paid us on time, and I made the payments. And actually, I got 3 months of payments in there, so I had $60,000. I bought this Betsy. We called her Betsy, and we bought. I got $60,000, and I was out there trying to get credit. When you're a new customer, in a new business, it's hard to go to a bank. I mean, they look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah, they all want you once you make it, and you've got stuff going, but none of them want you in the beginning.
I tell you, anybody that starts a business, I don't care if it's HDD or any kind of business, and they can get it off the ground and from ground up and start that way and be able to get financing and get past that 2 years. You always say, you got to get past your sophomore year. And I remembered that, and I was like, man, it still was difficult, but we started gaining some traction, and it's as good as the work you put in it, right? You got to, We'll talk about, I have a lot of passion for this industry. I've been a part of it. I've seen a lot happen. I've seen the technology get to where it's at now. We're drilling, we drill under sidewalks, we drill across bays. I mean, we drilled a lot of stuff that 20 years ago we would never thought we could have drilled.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the technology's been out there. So it's been fun. It's been an uplifting, and the things that we're seeing today, when we're looking at fiber optic and water and sewer, oil and gas, regulated gas, all these different, drill types that industries are out there. There's a lot going on. Even renewables. There's drills. Any kind of we're an infrastructure company now because we think about things as that. We don't care. We drill obstacles for a living,
right? And
we don't really care what's in the pipe.
Yeah, I get asked all the time. We'll be on a job that'd be like, well, what are you putting in? And sometimes I'm like, I don't know. We're just here to get the bore done, and that you don't realize is it water, is it sewer? I hadn't even thought that part. We just wanted to get the pipe in the ground, whatever it was. Get the pipe in the ground.
It's and safely, which is the big part of what we're proud at Hardrock is the safety, the culture that we've cultivated over the last 22. I think it's been 22, 23 years we've been in business, and we weren't always the safest company when we started. I don't think that coming out of the 90s, coming into 2000, I think the safety culture started rising, and I think it was probably 2008 that we really took that, and that to have a safety culture at your company gets you more work than you'll ever imagine.
Oh, for sure.
And a lot of guys out there don't see that yet. And if they embrace that, the culture, and start teaching safety and
well, it makes it tough too because it's not inexpensive to be safe either. Sometimes it costs you a lot of money on on your days. It makes some of your days longer because you got to take an extra step. And I think the more that's enforced, not necessarily enforced, maybe by your superintendents, things like that, it becomes the norm, and if we can all work together and that become the norm 10 years from now, then we've accomplished something.
Yeah, when safety first started coming around, I was like, man, I don't want to do that. I mean, you just had this negative deal about safety inspectors and stuff like that, and I was so wrong. And now the employees at Hardrock, their culture and they their mentorship to all the young guys that are coming up, and it really, nobody wants to lose an employee because you lose an employee, that's your friend, that's your family.
Right.
It's very important to have that in your culture, your company, to be strong, and so we believe in that.
Well, you guys have done something right. You guys have, you started at the bottom, and look where you're at. And, the bigger you get, the more challenges you face. And then, a downtime in the industry can be devastating and things like that. So, you've got to keep progressing strategically and grow smart. And, obviously you've done that in a great way. You've brought a lot to this industry, more than just the equipment to go do bores. I mean, you're giving back now, even with, we're going to talk about the HDDA,
Right.
you didn't have to sign up and agree to be the president and do the things you're doing. But I think you and I have one thing in common here. We've both been in this industry pretty much our entire lives. And we realize right now that we need education in this industry in a big way. We're getting a lot of new guys, and we need a lot more new guys. And if people like you and me and others in this industry don't come together for a common cause to make this industry, one, better, make it safer, and make it more enjoyable, and at the end of it, it should make it even more profitable. And if we could tie all that in together and get some great education going, and that's exactly what you're attempting to do with HDDA, and I just got to say, you guys have done a phenomenal job with it, getting it up and going in a short time, and I think it's going to take off. And I think it's going to take off in a big way. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I appreciate that. This is more of a passion, Robert, right? I don't want to get sentimental about it, but so I've done this for a long time, and I've seen the good and the bad of HDD, and I was part of the bad back in the early days because we didn't know any different.
Right.
And so we've, like I said, we've developed a lot of safety and culture in our industry, and we felt like as like I said, when you look at all these types of product that they're being put in the ground and the advancement in technology that's out there, the amount these engineers are designing projects now at an astronomical pace. If it's fiber optic, you see in the fiber boom. I mean, we had a fiber boom in the 90s, but the fiber boom that's going on right now is tremendous.
Oh yeah,
it's huge. The oil and gas industry and all the transportation and all the laterals and the gathering systems.
It's hard to even wrap your mind around all of it.
So, and it when you look at industry types, members that are in our industry, from engineers to manufacturers to contractors to suppliers to vendors, that whole ecosystem together is huge.
Oh yeah,
and to support it, but it's probably one of the most disorganized industries I've ever seen. I mean, and it's very very fragmented, and it's all over the place. So, and with that, I mean, you have a lot of damage prevention programs out there with CGA, 811. So when we started this association, we're looking at what's going on in the field, and the standard to go out there and set up a rig, no matter if you're a fiber guy, a guy that's doing water and sewer, a guy that's doing gathering systems, or if you're doing on a maxi rig and you're about to cross a bay, to get that bit in the ground, there has to be a standard there, no matter what rig it is, that there's an SOP that your crew leader goes through all these items that have to be checked off before you can put a bit in the ground. We have that at Hardrock. We have that in a lot of the members of HDDA. We made sure that that should be a standard moving forward, and we feel like that what this association is about is to come and educate and train our members in our HDD community to come up and bring them with this 30 years worth of experience, all the mistakes that I've made in my life that we
learn from. These are life-saving OQs. We call them HDD OQs, and we're building a website that's going to be virtual for training. We want our members to have access, and I wish I would have had that. Oh hell yeah!
How much money I would have saved. And like you said earlier, the downtime that and some of the contingency plans of when you do have an IR, and how to deal with it, and the safer you are, the better plans that you have, all these, when you have your safety there and so you want to be able to, and that's going to grow your business.
Right.
So we want you to come to be a part of HDDA so you can grow. You can grow your company, you can grow your employees. You want your employees to be empowered with culture and knowledge and build a beautiful company. And there's no reason why you can't. It's all out there. We, our members that are here, we're very passionate about moving forward. But HDDA, we're going to be the procurement side of our industry and making sure that we go to owners and we look at the owners and say, look, and we're going to give them the package of all the education and all the SOPs that's been developed over the last 30 years to keep our employees safe. And we want to work from the bottom up and make our industry stronger.
I think that's great, man. It's, that's why we decided to join HDDA.
Right.
The fact that you guys, there's plans that's laid out where you're going to give them some safety manuals, going to show them, because, you were too, but I was one of those guys that started with absolutely nothing in a rig. And I mean, you're just trying to keep the bills paid.
That's right.
And the last thing I think a lot of stuff that's not being done is simply because they don't know, and not, they're just winging it, until they can get enough money to make things happen. But when you can show them things to add to their company and, even getting down to the bidding processes.
That's right.
I think a lot of these guys, they get bashed online a lot because, they're just lowballing. They're lowballing this one. This one's lowballing that one. But I think sometimes, I know when I first started bidding jobs, it wasn't like I was an expert. I had to go bid one and get outbid and realize, okay, well, I've got to come in a little better. I got to sharpen my pencil, or, I go bid one and it's too low and I get the job and then I can't do it and I lose money. You learn from that. And just teaching these guys and helping them have somebody to turn to, just being a part of that and learning that you've got some people you can turn to and be like, feel comfortable enough that they can give you a call. It might be a guy that's fresh in this industry, but he can feel comfortable enough that he can give you a call and say, Robert, this is what's going on. How did you handle? What would you do? Give me some advice here. And the fact that line of communication's open, I think that's big.
That's exactly what HDDA is about.
Yep.
This is a non-biased organization. We want to work with every association out there because we want to promote our industry. We want to bring up our industry. We want to bring up the standards. So we want guys to call us because you know what? We're going to talk HDD with them, and we're going to talk about our experiences and how we overcame them. And because this isn't about today or about tomorrow, but this is about the future of our industry.
Right.
Because if we don't change what's going on out there and get this organized, when it comes to drilling mud, when it comes to IRs, and it comes to damaging property and hitting gas lines and drilling through sewer lines and not having these correct SOPs.
The nightmares of the business.
SOPs, let me tell you what an SOP is: safety operating procedure. Those are very important to have in your company and learn and teach the values of what we're doing. There is a way to get this crossing in safely, and when you become compliant and you have this organization in your company, you're going to grow.
Oh yeah,
you're going to become successful. People are going to see how you operate, how you act, and this is a roadmap for you. So we want members to come and be a part of that, and we need all the members out there that have been out drilling for 30 years and that have all this knowledge, and we need them to come and bring this to us. And we're not only just fighting the safety side of it, but we want to teach these contracts that we're having to sign with all these indemnity clauses and things that y'all need to understand what you're signing.
Yep.
You need to be able to read red line. And as an industry that you can stand behind, as HDDA, we're gonna teach you that insurance is very important to make sure that you have enough insurance and the quality insurance that you have, that if you do have something that's catastrophic, it's covered and it doesn't put you out of business. There's all kinds of little business tricks that you have to learn.
I was just talking to a guy the other day about this, and I was like, if you don't do anything, you've got to either, one, know the contracts you're signing, or two, hire somebody that does.
That's correct.
And I said, if you don't have anybody, get an attorney and get them to look over your stuff for you. I said, because there's little things as simple as, and I don't know how bad it is now, but used to, these, we would sign them because we thought, well, if we don't sign this contract, we're not going to get to work.
That's right.
So we would sign them, and it would be like a 10% retainage that never has a cap on it. And we'd look up and we'd have $400,000 or $500,000 out to one person that they're holding all of our retainage on, and then beat us out of half of it when we had got crossed later on. Knowing that they can simply cross that out and put like $100,000 cap or a $50,000 cap or whatever the case may be, but at least at that point, they know they're going to be capped out and quit having retainage.
Yeah, I tell you that retainage is a big thing at HDDA.
It is.
So we spent, obviously we're in Texas, but as far as Hardrock, but we went up to with Nuka, Texas, and we met up in Austin, and there's two bills that are being developed at the Capitol. One of them is retainage, which we've all obviously if you're in the fiber business or if you're doing a water sewer, retainage is it's either 7 to 10% of your money, and to be a small contractor and to have 10% of your money held. And when you're the first guy in, you put a fiber in there, you put a water line in there, you put a sewer in there, you put a power line in there, all that, and you have to wait through the warranty program of that whole project. You're you're first there and last to be paid.
Yeah.
And what happens is it can get all the way to the end. This retainage is just a joke, because we have these members that are out there sitting on retainage for a year to 2 years because they're waiting on, hydro mulch, the grass to grow and do a warranty. So what's happening is they're taking this money, this retainage money, and they're having it in an account and they're investing the money and they're managing it. And so at the capital level, they're going through that and saying, hey, we need to change this. We need this. This is not what it was designed for. So HDDA is out there fighting and going for that.
It gives everybody almost to where they're almost handcuffed,
Yeah.
because 10% doesn't sound like a lot, but
it's a lot.
in a lot of cases, it's half your profits.
No, it's hard to make. It's hard to net 10% profit.
Right.
And so you're basically your profit is being held. And if you're a young contractor and you're trying to make payroll, you're wanting to buy new equipment, you're wanting to grow your business, and you have $50,000 in retainage sitting out for 2 years.
Yeah,
it's
and you've already done everything you agreed to do.
It's so anti-business. So at least they're looking at it. We got to see if that's going to pass. It's out there. The other side is the Class B operators, which all the municipal operators that are in Texas. They don't have to be a part of the 811 call system. That's a problem.
That's a big problem.
Because as an HDD contractor, if I'm drilling in the city, obviously I have, fiber in the ground, you have gas in the ground, you have, water and sewer, which they don't have to tell you where it's at.
Right.
You got to go do a lot of investigation and stuff like that. That really handicaps us, puts us at a disadvantage. So that needs to change. And so in this association, we're looking at things like that impact our industry that we want to be vocal and try to change. So there's a chance for that. So,
well, I highly encourage people, that may not be a part of the group to, just jump in and join in and see, because I believe, the more people you have, the stronger you get, and the more you can accomplish.
That's right.
And, whether you're new in the industry or you're, somebody that's been in 20, 30 years, the longer you've been in, you're even more needed. And the newer guys, you need to be a part of this, because seeing this stuff and having these people has got to, it's going to, having these people that you're able to contact and reference to, call when you need to, it makes a big difference. I got a few more questions I want to ask you. Do you remember the very first bore you did?
I do.
Tell me about it.
As part, well, that was actually 1992. Working at Vermeer as a young salesman, and we went down to the Rio Grande Valley for Magic Valley Electric. I had no earthly idea. Never been on a drill rig. Never whatever. I was, obviously I came from a construction background, operating and stuff like that, but I was pretty exciting. It was in the backyard, and all we were doing was boring 300 feet from a transformer to a transformer to replace an electric line in the backyard. Well, about a week and a half later, back then the drill rods, this was a D7 Vermeer.
6 foot.
No, actually it was a 10-foot rod machine, and but the couplers were welded. And so when we get ready to get started, Mike By, who I was working for, and then Dave that we borrowed the machine from, they got together, and Mike says, "I want to run the machine," and Dave goes, "No, I need to run the machine. You need to locate." And he goes, Mike goes, "Well, I don't know how to locate," so nobody knew how to locate, and so they're out there reading the manual and trying to figure out how to locate. Well, obviously they were oversteering. We broke a couple rods. We were digging it up. It was a disaster. We were demoing for. Obviously, we didn't get the order on that one, but we did.
Y'all didn't just impress the hell out of them.
No, but we did get
right?
the pipe in. It was a 300-foot bore and snowbank.
Oh yeah.
And I remember driving home from the Rio Grande Valley to San Antonio. That's like a 5.5-hour trip, and it was dark and it was foggy, and all these whitetail were out. And I was thinking, why would anybody ever buy one of these machines? I've been an operator my whole life. I said, this is kind of dumb, but actually it got a lot better from there. But yeah, that was my first drill.
I definitely think it's one of the riskiest. When people that get into this, they got to have a little bit of cojones about them to even jump in and want to do it.
Well, I look back now, I said we broke every safety aspect of what we what we were doing back those days. We didn't know it was a Wild Wild West, and sometimes I feel like today that we still have a lot of that Wild Wild West out there. So we need to really try to bring that up to a standard.
So far as HDDA,
yes,
where do you see it 1 year, 2 years, 5 years from now? What if you could, in a perfect world, where would you be next year at this time?
This association, I've been a part of a lot of things in my life that have been fortunate to be a part of. We've been in existence for 2.5 years. We got our roots in our ground. It's just like any business. You got to get set. You got to, and we're growing membership. I think close to 60 members now, and we got a bunch more that are lining up. We're at the No Dig show here in Denver, and the excitement of what we're doing, because it's the easiest thing. I've sold a lot of things in my lifetime, but it's when it comes to bringing up the standard of safety and application of what this industry is about, and you're preaching that, I see the movement happening. This thing is becoming viral. I see this. I really truly believe that we can make a difference in our industry and start changing this around. And I can see this, we're up to 60. I bet you we're, by the end of the year, we'll be up close to 100 members. I just, there's a lot of big announcements that we want to make about that for Alliance members. Alliance members and sponsor members are owners. Atmos is an Alliance member of HDDA.
So you don't just have to be a contractor to be a part of this.
No, we won't.
Tell me about that.
We want owners. Zaos is an Alliance member. 811 System is an Alliance member. So we're, for everything that we're doing, the reason why we're doing is for these Alliance members, and we want them to come in and tell us what they need, and we want to have a solution so our members, our HDD contractors, and our vendors and our manufacturers can be a part of the solution for them and bring. And like I said, we're a procurement department. I mean, we want for our industry to go to our Alliance members and say, we're going to hand this to you, and we're going to organize our industry. We want to be the most organized industry out there, and it's going to take a lot of work, but I feel that this is really getting viral. We got a lot of big contractors that have joined and that have the passion that sees the things that we need to get changed to get there.
Well, and I think the first step to success in any of this is all of us coming together, because I was just talking to a guy this morning, and I was like, he's been keeping stats on all of his stuff for 30 years,
right?
And he's got all this information, but of course, you've got stuff that you've done, and everybody has stuff that they've acquired through the years, but we're not sharing it. And I think we're getting to a point where we're starting to share this information and find some common ground. I went to the first meeting, and it was like every one of my competition in the mud business were there, and I was like, these guys are on to something, because they got all of us to come to this damn meeting, So I mean, everybody's pushing aside our differences and coming together for a common ground here, which is the betterment of our industry. And I think you're doing an awesome job with it. I think everybody that's involved is doing great, and I see it going big places.
Well, I appreciate that. We have a long way to go. This is not it's big. I mean, we opened up Pandora's box when we started tackling this, and we see so many opportunities to improve. So that's what as long as you're always trying to improve, this isn't a country club membership.
Right.
This is a working membership for our industry, and we want to make sure that everybody knows that. And because we have some, this is critical infrastructure that's in our ground. Our right-of-ways are getting smaller. They're more difficult to operate in. And these safety operating procedures that we're talking about are very important. We all as an industry need to come together so we're getting a black eye out there in the public view, and so we need to fix that. And it's an easy fix. We have to start with the safety operating procedures. So
well, for somebody that hasn't checked out HDDA, doesn't know anything about it, and they would like to learn a little more, tell them where they could
we have
see this.
We have a website. It's HDDA.us. It's our original website. We do have a new website that will be launching, and I'm calling it the AI of HDD, which we're going to have all our educational and all of our training, our safety operating procedures, all that stuff is going to be there. We're going to have some testing for your employees and things like that, so they can come up to speed with these safety operating SOPs. So just please, it's HDDA.us, and just look it up. If you want to be a member, it doesn't, depending on your employee size, it's going to ask you, how much you make. But I think it's more, we don't really need to know that. I think it's more important for us to know your size of your company. And then I think the minimum membership is $750 a year. If you're up to a large contractor, I think it's up to $6,000. But in most of the membership is going to be very affordable for a lot of young members. We want young members and young companies to come in because they need to hear the story. And our conventions, when we have a convention coming up in September in Horseshoe Bay, actually in October, and sorry about that, October in Horseshoe Bay, this is a leadership convention. This is about teaching culture, leadership. It's a great venue for your owners and your project managers, or even your crew leaders that want to come and learn culture. We're also going to have a lot of business side of it's actually come in on a Wednesday. On Thursday we'll have a keynote speaker about culture and leadership, and then we're also talking about some important lobbying stuff, and then on Friday we'll have another keynote speaker that's going to go over HDD CapEx, which CapEx is, all of our industries when it comes to, fiber, oil and gas, water and sewer. Talk about our industry, and CapEx means how much each one of those industries are going to spend to build projects. And I think it's very important for our membership to be very in tune, because a lot of us, we don't, I didn't get off the rig until 2012 when I started in 2003. It's very hard as an owner when you're running a rig to stay attuned about what's going on.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that HDDA is going to keep you informed of what's going on out there. And I think that's important.
Well, the last meeting we went to, you had a guest speaker. Is there going to be a guest speaker at this next one?
Yes, yeah. On Thursday morning, we'll have breakfast, and then Sean Patton's going to come speak, and he's a decorated Medal of Honor recipient, and he's a great. Talks about leadership, and he's going to bring some books, and we're going to do some workshop stuff, and we're so excited because I think that's important. It's as owners or managers or crew leaders in your company to learn this culture. And be when you leave, just like the last Ryan Lavarne was at in New Orleans, and he came in and he gave us, and it was our first time. It was
phenomenal.
It's phenomenal. Did you get anything out of that?
Yeah, I did.
I was pumped up.
Yeah,
I went back and started coaching my employees because I think it means a lot.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, so we all need that because we got it all wrestled up in the everyday work schedule, and we're stressed out, and we're trying to meet schedules, and we're trying to get drills in, and
when I saw that he was the guest speaker, I was thinking, now how is he going to tie into anything we're doing, And we left there, and it was like he was like just nailed it. And
that's right.
The guy was phenomenal, and we learned a lot from it. We really enjoyed the last meeting, and look forward to the ones in the future. Do you have any last words of advice to new people coming into the industry that you'd like to say to them?
Yeah, basically, man, we need you to be a part of this association. We want to help you. We want to guide you. We want to give you some things that we wish that we had. It's we all been there. And I'll tell you what, we do.
Tough.
It's a tough industry, and it's a very dangerous industry that we're in, and you need mentorship. I need mentorship. Even where I'm at today, I look up at our peers in our industry and learning from that. I said, this is not a short game. This is a long game. And you have to start somewhere, and you got to get organized, and you got to, and as soon as you can start that process, you'll be on the road to success.
And it is a very lucrative industry.
Yes.
There's great opportunities out there for new people. And I think the more we get the word out that, it's not an industry that a lot of people even know about. But people always make a good living, and there's a lot of opportunities. And I would like to see, the word get out that, hey, come on board.
Yeah, we need, and that's, when you're a part of this association, our employee development side that we're going to be working at HDDA, that's important. Bringing new employees to our industry to learn a trade, because honestly, this is a very lucrative. You can start. There's this industry here. You can start as a laborer. You can work your way up to the mud truck. You can learn how to locate. You can learn how to run a rig. At Hardrock, if you make it to the rig as a crew leader, we call them astronauts. We're not pilots anymore.
Right.
We have we're teaching responsibility. We're teaching, how to report. We're teaching how to manage. We're trying to, we're giving guys an opportunity to grow their career and have a retirement. So, and I think that's important as the whole ecosystem of our industry. We need to attract. The hardest thing in our industry right now is to attract new people to come to our industry.
Right.
We got to start working harder, going to high schools. We got to do things to start bringing these guys and get back to work, because we lost that after COVID. It's very difficult to get labor, and it's hard to get new guys to.
Well, I think you guys are doing your part, and I think it's only going to get better. The more people you get involved, it's the groundwork's going to be laid out. And I don't know. I was a contractor that didn't know anything about being a contractor, and I didn't know the first thing about drilling when I got into this. And it was intriguing enough to me that I stuck with it my entire career. And I love this industry. I love the people in it. I've met a lot of good people, and I think what you're doing is great. And I think it's only going to grow and get more powerful as it grows too. Any way we can help, always reach out to us and let us know. We're here to help you.
Dennis, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak here, and I appreciate what you're doing for the industry, because this is good stuff. I mean, we need everybody, and I appreciate you.
And as this progresses, man, we'd like to have you back, and maybe you can give us an update, and maybe we can help it grow, and let us be a part of your growth.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, Robert, we appreciate you being a part of this. This is our podcast, 1 foot at a time, because that is exactly what everybody in this industry. I mean, your home that you live in, you paid for that 1 foot at a time. Am I correct?
I did, 1 foot at a time.
Yep.
That is a great way of saying it.
Yeah. I mean, you put your kids through college 1 foot at a time. And whether we do business together or whether we don't, that's the one thing that we all have in common is we did it 1 foot at a time.
That's right.
So with that being said, I appreciate you coming out.
Thank you, buddy.
And telling us about your organization, and we look forward to being a part of it.
Thank you,
and
buddy.
good luck in everything you guys are doing. You guys are doing a phenomenal job.
Appreciate it. Stay safe out there, guys.